What's going on, guys? It's your boy Hatter from FFL Commissioner, and I got my guy over here, man, the main man, Michael Florio, man. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Happy to be able to sit down and talk some football with you. Thank you for we had a little bit of a scheduling conflict before on my
Oh,
end, so thank you for working with me. Looking
no
forward to talking
problem.
some football.
Hey, man. Hey, I mean, as long as you got the stuff done in your house and it's fixed, I mean, then it's good. You know what I mean? If
Yeah,
it's
hot
done,
hot water heater unexpectedly going out is never
oh
fun
yeah.
for anyone.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, hey man, this week, I mean, well, this year, you got a lot of deep articles you got to write on NFL, man. I mean, it's a different type of fantasy season. It's gonna be very hectic. It's something that we're not used to this year. Tell me a little bit about what you're gonna be going through this year.
Yeah, so right now, starting to write more and more for NFL.com. Like you said, I'm currently working on an article about the 10 best values at the wide receiver position. I'm going to be doing some stuff about potential league winners later in the month, maybe how some offensive play calling changes are going to have impacts on fantasy football. And then there's also the Fantasy Football Podcast with me and Marcus Grant. NFL Fantasy Live is coming back. And if you're still looking for some more fantasy content, which some people might be, I do work over at a site called Rotoballer as well, where I write articles there. I do my own podcast called Florio's Football Show. And every Sunday, me and Scott Engel host a show on Sirius XM Fantasy. So lots of places to hear me talk fantasy football if you want.
There you go, man. There you have it. And speaking of the wide receivers, what do you think, like obviously from your point of view, who might be the top five this year as far as, fantasy output when it comes to wide receivers?
So we're talking the five wide receivers who we think will score the most.
Yes. And you can, I guess, let's just say PPR.
Yeah, so right now I have my top five ranked as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
Um, I don't think I'm going out on any limbs here. I think it's easy to say that these are, I think especially the top four are the four best receivers in all of football and fantasy. I think after that there's a little bit of a drop off, but I still am going with, I'm a Bills fan. I'm going with
Oh, yeah.
Stephon Diggs, fifth overall because he is still the go-to guy for Josh Allen in a high-powered offense. But then right
Right.
behind him is like A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb. Like those guys aren't far out. I actually have an article that I just wrote yesterday for Rotoballer where I say that this year my approach is like I'm being very dictated in like I want a wide receiver in round one, a
Right.
running back in round two, a quarterback here. Whereas normally I'm like I let the draft kind of fall to me a
Chief
little bit
follow. Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
This year feels like if you don't take a wide receiver in round one, you're gonna be left chasing the position
Okay.
probably
There you
all
go.
year.
Little tip from my boy. Okay. For sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, the mock drafts this year is kind of ridiculous. And first of all, let's take a pause. You said, Stephon Diggs. I had to keep this card, even though I'm unfortunately a Commander fan, but I have to keep this card here because he won my first chip in my big
Let's
boy league,
go.
man. And let me tell you a little background, a little story about that. I was down, I was down 35 points on a Monday. 35 points. I'm like, man, there's no use of watching this Monday night game. I already lost the championship, right? This boy, remember that game against the Patriots, and
Oh yeah.
the Patriots in 2020? Boy got three touchdowns over like 180 yards, bro. People calling me, Hatter, you won, you won. I was like, man, why is everyone calling me for my league? And then I checked. I was like, ain't no way. That was crazy, man. That was crazy. And the guy I was playing, bro, he was done, bro. I didn't see him for at least 2 months. He's supposed to come he was supposed to come to the meetings and all that. I did not see him, man. So I have a restaurant in the Northern Virginia area, and then he finally came by and he's like, "Hey man, congrats and all that and stuff like that." I was like, "Hey man, don't leave too fast. We gotta take a little picture, man. I gotta confirm this with our boys that hey, we met and all that." But yeah, man, Diggs is definitely gonna have that year this year. Like, I mean, almost every year. I mean, Josh Allen. And speaking of Josh Allen, when you're drafting, do you think second round pick? Do you think it's worth drafting a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen? One of these names. Do you think it's worth drafting in the second round or like early?
So I think it's worth taking them early. The second round though is just a little. So as I was saying with like receivers, like I want one in round one because of all the receivers going in round one. That leaves running backs like Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry, guys that we're all accustomed to taking in round one. They're now falling into the second round. So my strategy is wide receiver round one, running back round two, because then I feel like I have an elite wide receiver still and an elite running back. But if one of those big three, Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, and you could call me biased, Allen is still my QB1
Oh yeah.
for fantasy purposes. I have Hurts 2, Mahomes 3.
Right.
I would take any of them in round three if they fell to me, because then I already have the secure running back, the secure receiver. Yeah, it would be nice to get another wide receiver in round three or something like that. But I know I keep plugging articles. I wrote an article for Rotoballer this summer and
Yeah.
stating that I think it's the first time ever maybe there's an advantage to get one of the top quarterbacks, because for years it was like if you drafted Peyton Manning in the third round, you
Right.
were doing yourself a disservice because you could have got like Phillip Rivers in round 10
Yeah.
or something
Right.
like
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But now these top three guys, they all gave you about 25 fantasy points per game last year. Joe Burrow was the only other quarterback to give you over 20 per game. And then when we get down into the QB 10, 11, 12 range, we're talking last season at least was something like 16 points per game, 17 points per game. So on starting average point, you're two passing touchdowns behind point wise
Yeah.
at the quarterback
Yeah.
position.
Exactly.
And then we're not even factoring in that these guys could drop 30, 35 points. Like it's not like
Mm-hmm.
25 is their ceiling. So these elite quarterbacks, round two, a little bit too rich for my blood. But if they're there in round three, I have no problem doing it.
Gotcha. And then obviously, what happened yesterday with Joe Burrow? I mean, bro, that literally, I mean, we were already having a hard mock draft season this year, and that even made it even worse. I mean, especially with like ties with Chase, and all that. I mean, what do you think? What do you think is going to go down? I mean, if Burrow, if his calf injury is serious, that will make a big, huge change to fantasy.
Yeah, it all depends on how long he's expected to be out, and we're still awaiting that. I think the Bengals are very much so awaiting that with the
Right.
they're nervous right now. But
Right.
to me, it all depends. Like if Joe Burrow's back week one and we're just not going to see Joe Burrow in all the preseason, I think what will happen is the public reaction will be to ding the Bengals a little bit, and I would say
Right.
that's a mistake because Joe Burrow has played all of 3 preseason snaps in his career.
Right.
2020, he was a rookie. 2021, he got those 3 snaps in. Last year, he had appendicitis literally a day earlier than he hurt his calf this year. So, and the Bengals didn't miss a beat. So if he's
Right.
going to be back for week one, it's not going to change a whole lot for me. But like you said, if it starts eating into his time in season, then it's a huge effect because not only is it Joe Burrow, but we're going to see the second consensus player off the board in Jamar Chase fall a bit. We'll see T. Higgins fall. We might even see Mixon get pulled up a little bit. So
Right.
it'll definitely have a huge impact on fantasy football.
And then when it comes to like, for example, JJ and Chase, and you're in the first round pick, which guys you would you rather take? Would you rather take JJ or would you rather take Chase if that Burrow thing didn't happen?
I have Justin Jefferson as one just
Gotcha.
because I think he's a little bit safer bet for volume. Look, as much as we like Jordan Addison, he's still a
Right.
rookie. TJ Hawkinson is a very good tight end, but there's no one on the Vikings like T. Higgins who could get 12 targets in a game and you would be like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
Right.
that's the only reason I give the nod to Jefferson, but people are crazy if they say that Justin Jefferson is like the clear cut one and there's no way anyone could catch him because like Chase is right there, Cup is right there, Jefferson, Tyreek is right there. Like it's a big four in my opinion instead of it being just a one.
And Cooper Cup, man, he could have done numbers last year if he didn't get hurt. I mean, bro, I was watching that game, bro. I was with one of my few of my league members, and that injury happened right in front of my eyes, man. I'm like, oh my god. I mean, if that injury didn't happen, he would probably have amazing numbers once again. And obviously, I have his card as well. He won me a chip as well in 21. But
Same.
hey, there we go. So I mean, so it's like, damn. I mean, and they're like you were saying, they're right behind JJ. But I feel like JJ now has a lot more company now. With Addison coming in, and he's not a joke. Even though he got the little speeding thing, a couple of days back. I mean, kids will be kids, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, as far as it comes to talent, it's there. So he has a little stuff on his plate now, and obviously some people were saying that, hey, the person who's throwing to JJ is Kirk, and the person who's throwing to Jamar Chase is Burrow. So which quarterback's better? So they have, it's interesting. But obviously with what going down with Burrow the other day, it kind of just went back to normal. Hey, like get JJ pick one and stuff like that. But we shall see what
And
really happens. But man, running backs, man. I mean, running backs is just another different subject. I mean, what's going on with the whole contract issues, and finally, Saquon signed his. Um, but I feel like it's still a work in progress. Um, Jacobs not even being in the facility and not signing a contract. I mean, do you think if he falls to round 4 or round 3, would you pick him up?
yeah, yes, I would. I would roll the dice there because I do not see a scenario where Josh Jacobs doesn't play this season. Now, I could see a scenario where, and I said this for Saquon even after he signed this contract, I still can't get the idea out of my head that if he gets banged up, what incentive does he have to push himself to be out there on the field for his team? It was my approach with, or my attitude with Lamar Jackson each of the last two seasons, which ended with his team getting eliminated from the playoffs with Lamar on the sideline.
Right,
And naturally, fans and people like that are like, why are you not out there? Like, you should be out there with your teammates. It's the biggest game of the year.
right,
My approach was if you want Lamar to risk his future, give him financial security.
right,
And I think that goes a long way with players. If you were locked up for 5 years and you're Saquon and you got that long-term deal from the Giants and I'm ending my career here, you're going to be a lot more likely to try to push through stuff and play in big games. But if you're thinking, hey, they're underpaying me, they gave me a 1-year deal, they showed me that they don't believe I'm worth signing a long-term deal, now I got a knee issue, why am I going to risk my career and my future potential for other teams for a team that has not given me that same benefit? So
exactly.
I think that is the risk with Saquon and with Josh Jacobs. But if they sit out the full year, nothing changes next year and they're still under this tag. So
Right.
I do think we will see Josh Jacobs play. I have lowered him in my rankings behind those all those round 2 running backs that I named, like the Chubb, Pollard,
Right.
Henry. But I can't lower him any further than that because I
Yeah.
still think this guy has one
I
of the
mean,
highest
especially with what he did
ceilings.
last year. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I
Ex-
mean, we never expected that.
So yeah, like you said, I think he's gonna fall in drafts round 3, even round 4, and at some point, I become I play to win my league kind of guy, not I play to make the playoffs. So
Right.
Josh Jacobs is a league winning type of swing. If it
Right.
misses, it could hurt me all year, but I'm willing to roll the dice in the 4th round,
Definitely. And
third
you're
third.
defending that chip, bro. You're defending the big championship belt you got there. I remember you were showing me. You got to, hey, go ahead, man. You have to show this, bro.
I
You
got the
have to.
chain one away,
That,
but this one just came in
ooh,
the mail. I could
that's
grab the
it.
chain real quick, but I got it's too hard for me to get to with my setup. This is the new one. I got
Got
last
you.
year's
Hey, man, that's
back
at
to
least 10
back.
pounds. That's at least 10
It is
pounds. That's
heavy.
that's a
It,
serious belt right there, bro.
so shout out to Jake Seeley of the Flex League. He sets this up and everything, but he was like, it's coming in the mail, and I had to like legitimately like sign, like it's heavy. This is no
Right.
joke. They don't let you just leave this on a doorstep.
Right, right. I'm telling you, hey man, you got to get the signature confirmation for that. I'm telling you. If I was getting chipped like that, I'd stand by the door the whole day, man, looking for the UPS and all that. Hey man, that's serious stuff. Hey man, that's a good quote you said there though. I play to win, not to make the playoffs. Hey guys, take that advice right there. I'm telling you. But man, running back, man, I got my rankings here as well. Um, First, I guess this is my running back rankings at the moment. I would say Chubb is number one, right, for me because boy is unbreakable, right? And then you have Henry, and then you got CMC, and then I think number four is Pollard because who's behind him? Not much of not a scary backfield where they might be chipping in his work and cutting from his cake for say. And then the fifth, I would say Eckler. That's my rankings right now. But I feel like Pollard, man, he's gonna have a crazy season. I mean, not playing the full season last year, he kind of came in the middle, the half of it. Getting over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns is a pretty big deal, and him having the whole backfield to himself, man, it could be wonders, man. And then unfortunately to say, he's definitely gonna play us twice, and he might run wild against us. I don't know, maybe 3 touchdowns against us. Who knows? I mean, yes, Dan's out the building and everything's new here. I can definitely say if I open the window, I see a little brighter sky per se. But you never know. I need to see day one, the first game against the Cardinals, to see. Okay, everything did change. The environment did change, but did the game change? Do we change as playing as a whole? So obviously, that has to be seen. First week one, but what's your running back rankings looking like?
Very similar to yours, but just in a different order. So
Okay,
I have Eckler and CMC as my top two,
gotcha.
and I will admit, as much as I love Austin Eckler, I am souring on him just a little bit. But I still think that these two are the safest two running backs. Like they might not finish as 1 and 2 this season,
Right,
but because of their role as receivers and runners, I feel like they are the safest bets to be top 5 running backs.
right,
And in the first round, I'm okay taking Eckler 1 overall and he finishes 4th. Like to me, I pay for that safety. I know some people don't like thinking that way. They're like, if I'm taking you first, I want you to be first. But
right.
my thinking is a little bit different. So after those two, I had Jonathan Taylor in my top 5, but with everything going on, I had to knock him out. Then I have Bijan, Pollard, and Chubb rounding out my top 5.
Hmm. Okay. So Bijan Robinson. Okay. When we're entering the mock drafts, this guy is top 6. And obviously I want to pick your brain about him. Um Look, I mean, amazing running back. Obviously we all know what he did in college, right? He's heading to the big boy leagues now. In of course in a sense we don't really know what he's gonna perform. We know the name is there, his name. He established his name. But now, do you think he might off the bat be going crazy? And do you think it's worth that first round pick?
I do think he is worth a first round pick, and I think that he can go crazy from day one. I will say, though, I don't think, like, I know people have ranked him as the RB1, and I think that is in the range of outcomes for him, but I still feel like Eckler and CMC are safer. That's why no one is going to surpass those two
Right.
for me. But Bijan, why I'm so excited is the Falcons last year got a lot out of Tyler Algier, and they were able to do so because he is able to break through contact and he was able to
Right.
force a lot of missed tackles. So the first defender rarely brought him down. His issue, though, was he doesn't have breakaway speed. So
Mm.
he'd make the first defender miss and then pick up 5, 6. A good run for him is 10 yards.
Right.
Whereas Bijan, he could make that first defender miss and turn the Jets on. And then
Right.
we're talking about that 5-yard run now being 10, 15. Some of those runs are going to be home run hitting touchdown style of runs. So
Right.
I think you take the skill set that Algier had and you amplify it because Bijan is better at forcing missed tackles than
Right.
Algier, who was already top 10 last year in the NFL at doing so.
Yeah.
He's better at, in my opinion, at running through contact. Then you add in the speed. Then you add in the hands as a receiver. I mean, I'm already seeing videos every day of him putting linebackers and safeties on skates. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
I've
do
seen
think,
those too. Yeah.
yeah, I think we're paying the ceiling price to get him.
Right.
And maybe five, like with Zeke and Saquon, there was always this pushback of no, they're rookies. We've seen
Right.
that go away. And I think Bijan is just going to be the next great rookie running back.
Okay. Well, I mean, it just kind of scares me that his backup is still Cordell, and we
Yeah.
can't forget about what he did for fantasy last year and even the year before. So and then they got Algier too. I mean, they got two decent dudes back there. I mean, I'm sure if I was a college player and I came out like Bijan did, and if I was like, you know, ready to go, I'd be kind of still. I wouldn't say nervous, but I'll still have that behind, back of my head that there's these two dogs behind me still. You know,
I, I will say he is the riskiest of the top running backs. Like, because no
right?
one is going to steal Nick Chubb's job. No one is going to steal Tony. Like,
Exactly.
they might eat into it, but there's less concern about that than there is with Bijan because, like you said, there's two good running backs behind him already.
Right, right, exactly. So we shall see. We shall see when it comes to Bijan. But Tua, getting all the injuries that he had and concussions and stuff like that. With all that in the mix, do you think he's gonna get Waddle and Hill to the numbers that we want to see?
Yeah. I think Tua is someone, even as a Bills fan, I was extremely vocal defending last season.
Right,
Um, and the criticism that he can't throw deep, those people are coping now and saying it's all the wide receivers and stuff. And my attitude is I don't care. Like
right,
Tua's doing his job. He is putting the ball in a place where the receivers, yeah, they're the best in the world. So arguably the best duo in the world.
right,
He still has to get them the ball, right? And he is doing his job. So, and we saw how different of an offense that was with and without Tua. So, the only concern I have is how many games is Tua going to play this season. But
right,
if you were to tell me that Tua was going to play the full 17 game season, I see a case to be made for Tyreek Hill to be the wide receiver one. I see a Waddle getting pushed up the rankings a bit as well. It's just like what you were talking about Cooper Kupp earlier.
right,
If you told me that like if we could turn off injuries like in Madden and like Matt Stafford was gonna play 17 games this year, he would be my wide receiver one. The
right.
only reason I ding Cup and Hill a little bit behind Jefferson and Chase is I trust those other two quarterbacks to be out there all year long more than the
Right.
other two.
Exactly. I definitely agree on that as well. I mean, I definitely do agree. And then obviously with these all some of these mid range range and high range wide receivers who have different teams now. Like our boy Adam ranks Bears. He has more there now. And Hopkins going to the tight ends and stuff like that. What do you think their outcome is going to be? Who do you think which wide receiver do you think that went to a new team might get some good numbers this year?
That's a great question. So I'm looking through the list right now. Well, my default answer is Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Can't forget about Kevin Ridley, man. Oh yeah, that guy is definitely. I feel like funny thing you said that. I feel like he will be the best wide receiver, getting the amazing numbers this year.
I have him as my wide receiver 12, which might
Okay,
seem bullish to people, but I'm very high on his abilities. I'm very
right,
high on Trevor Lawrence, on Doug Peterson's system. I think
right,
the Jags are just going to continue to get better and better, and I think he pushes them to new heights and has Trevor Lawrence as an MVP candidate this year. So I'm very bullish on him. Not so much the other two you said. Like D Hop, I have as wide receiver 20, DJ Moore at 25. Um, I think they mean more for those teams in real life than
Right.
they will for fantasy purposes. Both of those are still going to be teams that run the ball a good amount. And no disrespect to Adam Rank and his Bears. Like Justin Fields, there's only been two quarterbacks ever who have ran
Right.
for 700 yards and thrown for 4,000 yards in the same season. They're Cam
Right.
Newton's rookie year and Josh Allen the last two.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if Fields is at that level yet, so I don't know if there's going to be a ton of passing volume. I think more will help Fields take that next step,
Right.
but going to 4,000 yards from 2,200 yards is a huge jump. So I would settle for like 3,500. I think that would be a great year for Fields and for DJ Moore. But I think his fantasy season would look a lot like what we've been accustomed to seeing DJ Moore put up.
I do see that. Yeah, I mean, obviously Fields being a running quarterback, it's going to take some time to see how he does, and with the passing stuff, and with DJ Moore coming in is definitely going to help him uh to reach that if they do. But um when it comes to the best quarterback and wide receiver chunk, who are you aiming for to get that, double stack?
I mean, Chase and Burrow is a hard one to ignore. Diggs and Allen is always one of my favorites
Right.
because like as great as Justin Jefferson is, Kirk Cousins is like your average fantasy quarterback. So
Right.
whereas with Chase and Diggs, they're gonna be putting up top receiver numbers, but Josh Allen could be the best quarterback in fantasy. Joe Burrow
Right.
could be one of the best quarter. I don't know if it's in the range for him to be the QB1 because of the lack of rushing numbers he gives,
Right. Right.
but that is a Hurts and AJ Brown, another one where you're gonna get a potentially top 5 wide receiver and a arguably the best quarterback in fantasy. So to me, I think we need to the top wide receivers are all so similar, so I have to then go with who has the best fantasy quarterback, and for me that's like Chase, Diggs, and Brown.
Okay. And then now, Michael, we got something new on our table this year. Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. Oh
Oh yeah.
man. Now what about that, bro? What about that?
So I love Garrett Wilson. I have him as my wide receiver 10 right now, which I mean to some people that's low
Pretty.
on him, but
I mean,
I think I think it's
yeah,
pretty high.
yeah, pretty high,
Um,
man. For a dude that we drafted, what, sixth round or fifth round last year?
exactly, but the numbers he put up last year with the Jets team that had a revolving door from that ranged from terrible to meh at quarterback, like
Right.
it to see what he did was so impressive. And I am not of the mindset that I think we're gonna get like 2020 Aaron Rodgers ever again. Cause
Right.
yeah, last year I admit a lot went wrong for him, but he's also a 39-year-old quarterback, so I'm not gonna expect him to return to MVP form. But
Right.
I think he elevates Garrett Wilson so much. So while Aaron Rodgers might still be like a low end QB1 for fantasy, and I think his outlook is going to look a little bit better, but similar to last year, where he's
Right.
not putting up massive fantasy numbers, but he's going to be very efficient when he does throw, and I think he's going to make the most out of Garrett Wilson.
I definitely believe so. I mean, that I can't wait to watch them, score all these touchdowns this year, and Garrett Wilson being one of the best. I feel like having the best release as a wide receiver in the whole league. It's definitely gonna be cool to watch. Definitely. But hey, Michael, I definitely appreciate you coming on my show, on my podcast, and sharing your thoughts. About fantasy this season, and some tips for the new folks who are just joining fantasy in general. But I'll definitely have you on, later on in the season, and see how your season's going in fantasy, and whatnot. So I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having me. I gotta ask. I see you rocking the number 7.
So
What's the meaning behind that?
the seven right there, it's just my lucky number, man.
Okay.
I'm still in that lucky range as it's still July. I'm born in July, so I feel like seven is
Likewise.
always. Oh, there we go. and I see why we're cut from the same cloth now. You see, so hey, so I'm like, July is 7th is just that lucky number for me. So I'm like, hey man, I had to go call up my boy and have something made for me.
Love it. July is always, in my opinion, the best month. I grew up. Carmelo Anthony is my all-time favorite NBA player, wearing
There
number
we
7
go.
for the Knicks. So I like
There,
that number a lot as well.
appreciate it. Yeah, man. I was like, I was just July people, man. I mean, look, it's like it's July 28 now, and now we're just kind of feeling a little like, oh man, it's about to be August. Our month is gonna be done. So, but yeah, man, July is definitely my favorite month, obviously. But I definitely appreciate that, and I definitely once again appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you again working with my schedule and carving out the time so we could do this.
Yeah, no problem. And hey, man, maybe later on down the line, I probably need to join yours as well.
Likewise, definitely we'll have to make that happen.
For sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Michael. Go follow him on Instagram and go check up on his articles on NFL.com/fantasy.